안녕하세요. Study with B의 B이지입니다. In my last video, we looked at 하십시오체 conjugation, and in my next grammar video, we'll look at 해요체 conjugation. But I kind of wanted to take a step back from the grammar to look at something different, and that is books. I absolutely love books. I have always loved reading, not only for entertainment, but also to learn new things. Today, I want to show you guys my top 3 picks of Korean language textbooks that can be used even by people who are self-studying and don't necessarily have a Korean teacher or even native speaker friends that can help them out. I will show you one book for beginner level students, one for intermediate, and one for advanced. So, let's get started. This is the first textbook that I want to share with you all, and it is a book for beginners. You can see it is titled McGill Korean 1, Korean Conversation for Serious Beginners, and I do have a bit of a personal connection with this book. So here we can see that the author is Myung-hee Kim, and she is working out of McGill University, which is actually the university that I went to and where I started learning Korean, and she was my professor years ago. So she actually just last year released this book after years of teaching Korean. She put all of her knowledge into one book that follows her teaching style. And even though it is made for her to use primarily with her Korean classes, going through it, I felt that, it's very good for people who are just learning on their own as well. So let's just open it up and take a look here. So the table of contents, we start, of course, with some pretty basic stuff like learning Hangul and how to introduce yourself. So we have a few chapters here, and there's an introduction to Hangul and how it works. So this is really for learning Korean from the very beginning, how to structure syllables. And we see that there's this little audio symbol. You can go onto the publisher website and download these really, really quality MP3 files. So if you're learning Hangul, you can hear it and see it here in the book, and it's really great. The way that it is structured, we have this grammar explanation. So it actually starts with 하십시오체. This is how I learned it, which is also why I kind of start with 하십시오체 in my own videos, and why I start, if you've looked at the grammar section of my website, 하십시오체 conjugation is listed before the other formality levels. It's because that's how I learned it from this teacher. So it just goes through, and since it is written mostly to be used in a classroom, a lot of the vocabulary and such that you will see is related to universities and student life. You see we have some vocabulary here, things like to learn, to memorize. But a lot of these words are, since it's a beginner level book, a lot of the words are just generally useful. And you just go through the chapters. The layout's really clean, lots of nice pictures. And especially when you get towards the end of the book, there are a lot of practice questions at the end of each chapter, which I really like. Some books are kind of light on the practice questions. So this book, it is a little bit hard to find sometimes, but if you just kind of Google it, I have found that you can find websites where this is sold. So if you're a beginner looking for somewhere to start your Korean language learning adventure, I would recommend checking out McGill Korean 1. Now for my intermediate level recommendation, you can see this book has already felt a bit of love in its past. It's a little rough around the edges, but that's because I've used it so much. This is the Korean Grammar in Use series. Here it says intermediate. There's also a beginner level book, which I do not have. I do have their advanced level book, and I think this one is pretty good. It's sort of like a reference book of grammar around the intermediate level. So if you open it up, you can see I've written a lot in these pages. But it's kind of a thick book. We can see up here, this is already page 321. There's still some pages to go. But the grammar explanations, so this section is on 해체, so 반말, and we can see that it's very detailed and there are a lot of examples and even practice questions. So this kind of format goes throughout the whole book. You have here at the end of each main section, you'll also have some practice questions just with those grammars, and it's broken up by function. So here, the fourth section of the book is expressing reasons. So here we have the grammar 거든요, and we start out with a kind of short dialogue showing how to use the grammar. Then we get into a grammar explanation that's written in both Korean and English. Also, the Korean Grammar in Use series is printed in Japanese and Mandarin as well. Of course, I have the English language version, and shows how to kind of use the grammar. And we have some example sentences. And I really love these nice yellow boxes they have. They kind of give more information about the grammar. And if there's another grammar point similar to the one that's being discussed, they will explain what exactly the difference is, which is really great if you're self-studying and there's nobody to explain that to you. Now we see we have, these are actually supposed to be spoken exercises, which I guess you would ideally do with someone else. If you don't have someone else to practice with, you can just kind of do it on your own, maybe write down your answers. And then there are practice questions. Now, there aren't a lot of practice questions. You can see that this whole section is only 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. Each grammar point takes about 4 pages in the book, which means it's kind of short, but I feel like their explanations are pretty solid. The practice questions do help you see how to use it, and there's just so much. There's a ton of different grammar points in the book, and yeah, so here we found another section, citing the speech or writing of others, so quotations, things like that. This is just such a good book. You can use it for learning grammar for the first time, or maybe just kind of as a grammar dictionary sort of thing for reference. The Korean Grammar in Use series is one that I recommend to so many people. I have recommended it a lot in the past, and today I am recommending it to you guys. So this one is intermediate, and here we see it comes with an MP3 CD for audio files. And yeah, this one is a pretty solid book. The Korean Grammar in Use series, intermediate, for those of you at the intermediate level. Alright, we have made it to the advanced level book. This one is called 빈도별 토픽, and here we see it says 고급, so that's advanced level. And I could show you the Korean Grammar in Use advanced book, but I already showed you intermediate, so I wanted to show you something else. And this is a bit different anyway. First, we can see it's quite a bit smaller. And oh, this nice yellow page. But we have all these grammar points, just so much advanced grammar. Once you get into advanced grammar in Korean learning, a lot of it will be mostly literary kinds of things, stuff you would see in writing, not so much in spoken Korean. And you can see I've written and highlighted all over this. But you notice, unlike the other books that I've shown you, is that even the grammar explanations are all written entirely in Korean. So here we have the name of the grammar point up at the top, and how to conjugate it, how to use it. We have kinds of explanation when to use it and some examples. Then we have even more examples here. And then in this part with our little magnifying glass, they will talk about things like maybe the nuances of this form, or even if it could be switched out with another form and how they differ. So the information in this book is really good. The sections for each grammar point are very short. So here for this one, urpae, we have the explanation page. The explanation carries on here. Then we have this nice big page of practice questions. And then we have another grammar point. So each grammar point in this book only gets about 2 to 3 pages. Not that much, but when you're at the advanced level, that's kind of how a lot of the books are going to be. You won't get super long sections with a lot of practice questions. But it's very adequate. I really like their grammar explanations and examples and the little magnifying glass parts. They're really good. Yeah, this is a great book if you are an advanced learner and you are ready to tackle reading your grammar explanations in Korean and just going full on for all that advanced grammar. Alright, those are my top 3 Korean language textbooks that I wanted to recommend to all of you. I just really think that they're well written and they could maybe help some of you guys out. So if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more in the future, hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions, comments, or even suggestions for future videos I could make or posts I could upload to my website, go ahead and let me know. Just leave me a comment in the box down below. And that's all. Please do come back next time to study with B.